Good evening and welcome back to Inzai. It's the final lead World Cup of the season. I cannot believe the season has disappeared so fast, but here we are in Japan for the season finale. I'm Charlie Bosco. Very pleased to say that for the first time in my live streaming career at the IFSC, we have a Japanese co-commentator, Meiko Taki. Thank you very much for joining me.
Thanks for having me.
And you've been competing in this competition. You competed in the qualifiers yesterday.
Yeah.
What is the wall like? What has the route setting been like here?
Yeah, I thought it was a Japanese route, not so, comfortable to climb many risky moves there, and but it was okay. It's fun. Just I made a huge mistake at to both route, so that's why I couldn't make it semis today.
And in the semi-final today for the women, it was a really technical route.
Yeah, it's really tricky route, and most of climber looks like so, scary and uncomfortable to stand up the volume. So it looks tough route, but just some of climber through the hardest move, and like Akio, Tani, Natsuki, many Japanese climbers.
Yeah, we've got 4 Japanese climbers in the women's final. It will be the women first, just to let you know, and then the men. Yeah, 4 Japanese climbers through, the highest ranked of whom was Akio Noguchi. She ended up in 5th. The final route, we've just been to the wall. What are your impressions of the final route?
I think not so tricky route like semi-final, but many not only climbs, not only slopey hold, so looks okay. Many kind of moves there and many kind of volume and hold there. So I think it's gonna be fine.
We are expecting a slightly different route. If you watch the semi-finals, the women's route was technical, it was complicated. We had people slipping off, making what looked like quite basic errors, but it was just a complicated route. Very good route from what I'm told from the semi-finalists. The final, it looks like we've got something completely different. As May said, quite a few crimps, much more traditional style climbing, so hopefully we are in for a good show. The women will be observing their route, just to let you know, in about 5 minutes' time. People are so interested. I want to talk about the Inzai competition, but people are so interested in Japanese climbing culture. What is the climbing culture like in Japan, and what is the big secret? Why are there so many good Japanese climbers?
I think Japanese culture is still developing, because like when I started climbing 10 years ago, it's not so major sports. Like if when I say I just started climbing, but everybody say, what is climbing? Like rock climbing, ice climbing? Nobody knows about climbing, but these days getting more popular sports, like bunch of climbing gym, bunch of bouldering gym in Tokyo, you see?
Yeah, we've seen
lot.
them.
And I think one of the reasons they are so strong, we believe own way to be strong. We don't have not so much training camp, but we believe, and then being own training.
And it feels like there's a culture of when there are some good climbers, then more begin to arrive. You have Yuji Hirayama, Akio Noguchi, Tomoe Narasaki, and it feels like that then produces more and more climbers.
Mm-hmm.
People see Japanese climbers at the top.
Like Akio, she have compete World Cups over 10 years, right?
15 years.
Yeah, 15 years. That's so amazing.
It's incredible.
Yeah, and still strong.
Yeah, it's still going well. Of course, Akio into the Olympic Games next year. We'll be right back here in Japan in 2020 for the Olympics.
Mm-hmm.
Just so that you know, this is the 360th World Cup event we have ever had here in Inzai. And it's the 12th World Cup of 2019. It's actually the smallest number of World Cups we've had in a season since 2002. We've not been short of action, though. We had the World Championships right here in Japan. We also had the Youth World Championships in Arco, and there is still the Olympic selection event in Toulouse to come. But interesting, 360th World Cup. The venue dark right now as we await for the arrival of the climbers. So as I say, the women will be out first. They'll be presented to the crowd and will observe their route together first. Then there'll be a short break, and then we will have the men. 9 men through to the final tonight. We had a tie in 8th place between Meichi Narasaki and Jessie Grupper. We talked earlier about the fact there are 4 Japanese climbers through to the final. It feels like a few years ago, Japan, they had really good boulders, including you.
Thank you.
And now the same thing is happening with lead. It seems like Japan is dominating the lead as well.
Yeah, young generation is coming, like Natsuki. She's it's first year to compete World Cups for her, but looks like having so fun and not so nervous to climb.
Yeah, she's so relaxed.
Yeah, even at the big stage, she's still okay.
And the same with Ai Mori.
Yeah, that was really shame to miss.
Yeah. If you didn't see the semi-finals earlier on, by the way, Ai Mori climbed past a compulsory clipping point. So on some routes, I believe we've got one on the men's route later today for the final. On some routes, the route setters will say that there's a certain quick draw that you have to clip from a certain hold for safety reasons, and I actually climbed past the compulsory clipping point, and that means that she gets called down off the wall and her attempt is over. So shame for us, because she's been climbing really well this year. But just still 4 Japanese climbers through to the final. Just to let you know, it will be Natsuki Tani out first, and then Miho Nanaka, then Laura Agora, Aika?
Yeah, Aika.
Good. Somebody said that was how to pronounce it, but I wanted to check because I have a real Japanese speaker. Aika Tajima, and then Akio Noguchi, then Cheon-sa, Jane Kim, and Yanya Gamba. It's a strong lineup in this final. Cheon, who's won 4 of the 5 World Cups this year, didn't quite look at full strength this weekend, and Yanya Gamba, who's not had a great lead season by her very high standards, looked absolutely immense in the semi-finals. I think most people feel that she is the favourite this evening on the women's side. Over on the men's side, we've got Jessie Grupper out first, then Meichi Narasaki, Loic Timmermans, Yuki Hada, Hiroti Shimazu, Stefan Ogasofi, Sean McCall, Sean Bailey, and Alberto Hines Lopez. Alberto, the only climber to find a top in the semi-final, absolutely crushed that route and looked immense in the process. Nobody else got within 4 moves of the top. So massive performance from him, and a bit like Yanni, I think he could well be the favourite this evening. We've been told that presentation will begin in about a minute's time here in Inzai. The crowd is filling up. It's we had a good turnout for the semi-final, and we're hoping for the same for the final. It feels like the Japanese public really like climbing. We had a lot of people watching in Hachioji, and it's a good crowd here in Inzai.
Yeah, I think it's only in Japan to have the, how to say that?
Oh, I don't know the name. The things, two things you bang together.
Yeah, like
to make a noise. I don't know the name.
I don't know either.
Somebody let me know on Twitter. But yeah, it seems like the Japanese public really enjoy climbing.
Yeah, I think so. And as I said, climbing, sports climbing getting popular these days. So, if somebody's win, we can see the winner at the TV or on the TV next morning, news show. Yeah,
are people in Japan, the general public in Japan, are they aware of climbing? Do they know about climbing? Is it on the big TV channels?
Yeah.
And the newspapers?
Yeah, newspaper also.
Really?
Yeah.
I remember after Hachioji, Tomoa
was on the train?
Yeah.
Right.
It's crazy. Here come the climbers. We've already mentioned Natsuki Tani. Here she is, just 16 years old, bows to the crowd. She will be the first climber out, and she's likely to get a warm welcome. Out next, Miho Nanaka. No strapping on her shoulders this weekend, and judging by how she climbed, she's doing a little bit better than she was a couple of months ago when she was struggling with those shoulder injuries. Laura Agora next out, the double youth world champion from Arco back in August. Aika Tajima, the third of 4 Japanese climbers in the women's final. She will be 4th out. Akio Noguchi needs very little introduction, picked up her 67th World Cup medal 1 week ago in Xiamen. Cheon's the season champion for 2019, but she's not looked quite on top form here in Inzai this weekend. Her compatriot Jane Kim, who still holds the record for the most World Cup wins of anyone in the IFSC's history. She will be second to last climber out. Janja Garnbret, comfortably the best climber in the semi-final, will climb last in the final if it comes down to countback, and she's tied on score with anyone else. She will take the win. So 6 minutes begins for the climbers to begin their observation. And always interested to see who's talking to who. Somewhat inevitably, I suppose, the two South Koreans, Cheon and Jane, instantly begin chatting. You can see Janja at the back there just doing her own thing, and Laura Agora, I think, doing something similar. So here's a look at the route. It's a slightly technical start, kind of similar to what we had in the semi-final. Body position and footwork, very important as you make your way up onto those red volumes.
Yeah, many people fell at the only first move, right? Yesterday and
Yes.
today.
Yeah, in the men's semi-final we had a lot of two falls on the first move.
Yeah.
Which is quite unusual.
And today, Kai Harada and Matthias.
Oh, I felt so sorry for him.
Yeah, they fell at the first move. So.
Yeah, we're hoping not to see a repeat. We would like to see the climbers having a good go at the route. And this is where it gets slightly more physical. The wall gets to its steepest point just there. You can see just above the earth sign the change in angle. And it's pretty physical from there on out. Really steep, pretty burly. I was talking to Christian Binthammer, he's the chief route setter here in Inzai, and he said we don't really want to give the climbers opportunities to rest. We want them to keep moving, keep climbing, because with some of the female climbers, if they rest, they recover too much. So they want to keep them moving, keep them climbing, and not really allow them to rest.
Yeah, looks like upper part, there are many volumes there, but not only volume with climps, so looks like endurance route.
It does, and the last move does not look easy.
Yeah, big throw bar.
We'll see if anybody can get there. Nobody topped the women's route in the semi-final. Janja Garnbret wasn't too far off, but most other people were 10 or so moves short. You can see there just over 4 minutes remaining to read the route.
Yeah, I'm really happy to see her, Miho.
Yeah, she's had a lot of problems with her shoulders.
Yeah, shoulder, both of shoulder, I think. But she's back.
Have you spoken to her this weekend? Do you know how the shoulders are feeling?
She said I'm okay now. As you know, she won at the beach games.
Yeah.
World beach games.
Yeah.
So I think she's in shape.
Yeah, it's good for the show if we can have Miho Nanaka back. Janja and Laura comparing notes.
Yeah, I also glad to see Aika. She only copied China and Japan World Cups, but she made it this time.
Yeah, she was great in the qualifiers and then really good in the semi-final as well. You can see Akio with the red band in her hair. Just at the back, there's Cheon. Only entered 5 World Cups in her career. She's won 4 of them. Just 2.5 minutes remaining for the climbers, and then, as I said, it will be Natsuki Tani out first, then Miho Nanaka, Laura Agora, Aika Tajima, Akio Noguchi, Cheon, Jane Kim, and Janja Garnbret. So it's a heavyweight final here. Laura going back to check out the start holes again. I often feel when we're watching the observation, it feels like it's quite long. Do you like the observation, or does it feel like you just want a couple of minutes?
Just when I see observation out of the out of the war, it's
when you're not competing.
I mean I feel it takes so long, but but if I was there, it's like 1 minute
Really?
to do
Feels
observation.
fast.
Yeah, really fast. I feel, and and I think like this route, it's not so easy to remember everything because you know many hold volume. That's too much. If it's only little clean period, it's easy to remember everything, but not this time.
You think this is you think it's a hard route to remember, this one?
Yeah. Actually, I'm not good at remembering everything. I just remember hardest part and just important part. I also try to remember.
That's probably good. Don't think too much. Akio and Jane. And who's that down the front, armed with the binoculars? There's Cheon. We are actually, I believe, according to the provisional calendar, we're going to South Korea for a Boulder World Cup
Next season.
next season.
Yeah.
Yes. It's our first time there since 2014, I think was the last World Cup in South Korea.
You mean lead, right?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, have they had a Boulder World Cup? I don't think so.
I don't think so.
So anyway, we're off to South Korea, which is something to look forward to. First time for about 5 years the IFSC's visited. The first time anyone can remember for a Boulder World Cup. I'm sure someone will let me know when we did last have one. So time pretty much out for the climbers. Do you go back to isolation and make notes, or you write anything, or nothing?
No, nobody writes.
Really?
Yeah, nobody write it down.
Vincent,
Yeah, just in the brain.
You keep it in the brain?
Yeah, just in the brain.
Yanya looking for as long as possible, so with Jane Kim.
Yeah, I always do observation with Jane because she's like same height with me. 150, 54 centimeter.
Oh, it's exactly the same.
Yeah.
Really?
I think Natsuki also.
Yeah, she's pretty close. Yeah, this is the scene here. Women on the left, men on the right. Let's have a look at the start list for this evening's final. And we've just got a slight delay. We'll get the start list up in a second. Yeah, that's the scene. Men will be on the right and women on the left. As I mentioned earlier, the men will climb and observe and be presented to the audience once we've concluded the whole of the women's final. We're going to have a look at the men's starting list first. There it is. Jesse Grupper will be out first. And then Meiichi Narasaki, Loic Timmermans, Yuki Hara, Hiroto Shimizu, Stefano Gisolfi, Sean McColl, Sean Bailey, and not on that list, I don't know why, is Alberto Jimenez Lopez. He will be the last climber out. We've got 9 climbers in the final this evening. 2 Americans and 3 Japanese climbers. So from the 16 slots in the 2 finals, 7 Japanese climbers. Absolutely incredible. And another good day. Big shout out, by the way, to Jesse Grupper. He made his first final last week in Xiamen. He's done exactly the same again. Made another final here in Inzai. Meiichi Narasaki, second final for him in a row. And Loic Timmermans, his second final ever as well. You might remember he made the final in Chamonix a couple of years ago, and now he makes the final again in Inzai. Had quite a nervous wait this afternoon to see if anybody was going to dislodge him as he slowly moved down the order, having set a high point, but he managed to stay in. Over on the women's side, 4 Japanese climbers out of 8, 2 South Koreans, an Italian, and a Slovenian in the form of Janja Garnbret. First climber out will be Natsuki Tani, then Miho Nanaka, then Laura Agora, Aika Tajima, Akio Noguchi, Cheonsa, Jane Kim, and Janja Garnbret. Janja looking firmly back on top form. Cheonsa, who has really dominated this season, looks 1% off the pace in the semi-final and ever so slightly in the qualifiers as well. Is it fatigue? Is she just having a bad weekend? Or will she come out and absolutely crush it this evening? We'll find out very shortly. She will be the third to last climber out. Jane Kim, who picked up yet another medal, her 60th of her career, will be second to last before Janja. So could be a fascinating final here in Inzai. So before this final gets underway, let's hear from 4 of the climbers who made it through. First up, Akio Noguchi.
So I think today's semi-final is quite hard, and I thought I'm out of the final because my result is the middle position of the route. So I'm so happy because I have a chance to climb one more route.
The semis was pretty weird. It was a hard route. Hard from the very beginning. I felt uncomfortable at the beginning. Then after the jump, that was the trickiest part. I felt a bit more relaxed, and then it was a bit more pumpy and my style. So I think I climbed good, and I'm qualified for tonight's final. I feel confident, and we are 2 Italians in final, me and Laura Rogora. So I think we can both do good results.
The route was cool, but it was very hard. From the very beginning, I thought I could fail at every move, and I was pumped from the third quick draw. But at the end, I enjoy climbing, and I give my best. The semi-final was hard, so I'm tired. But I hope that the final will be more with a easy start and more harder at the top.
Semis were really nice. It was a really tricky start with some very small holes in the start, a tricky jump as well, and then it was more a pumpy route, and I was really happy because I could fight, and yeah, just enjoyed the climbing. Now I'm just realizing that I'm in finals, so I'm just psyched to climb. I'm just motivated, and I want to have fun, and yeah, I'm really happy, and I just want to fight again tonight.
And we also had a chat with our chief route setter, Christian Bindhammer, for a debrief of the semi-final and a glimpse of what we could expect in the final.
We wanted to have a quite fast semi-final so that the girls can't stay too long at the wall. The wall is not really high, so we were also a little bit forced because we cannot work with long routes. We have just short routes with maximum like 35 to 40 moves. So it was the thing what we thought about was to have not the stable positions, have more unstable positions in the route.
And what can we expect from the routes in the final? What was the philosophy?
Yeah, the final routes will be with quite spectacular stuff at the beginning, and then it will be leads to the pumpy part. And at the top, we hope we will have a very good selection of the best 3 climbers.
And with perfect timing, I believe Natsuki Tani is in the doorway and ready to go here in Inzai. It's been a good weekend so far from Christian Bindhammer and his team. Routes have felt about the right difficulty, providing a real challenge to the climbers. Saw Jan Yagamret after the semi-final. She said it was one of the best routes she's climbed on in the competition this year, so high praise indeed. Feels like they've really got it right this weekend. It would be great if they could deliver something similar in the final. Natsuki will be first out. She'll have 6 minutes to climb the route and of course 40 seconds individual observation time. If you are just tuning in, Charlie Bosco here, very, very, very special guest Mei Kotaki with me, and we are just awaiting the arrival of the first climber, who will be Natsuki Tani here in Inzai. This bodes well. Hopefully we're about to see a climber on the wall. Really nice arena here in Inzai. We were, the IFSC was here, I think it was 4 or 5 years ago for a Lead World Cup, and we're back. First Lead World Cup Japan's hosted for several years. And really good to be back in this venue.
Yeah, she's coming.
Here is Natsuki Tani.
I think she's really good at far moves. Even though the height is not so high, so yeah, she will be good.
So regulation 6 minutes as ever, and off she goes. Yes, it's a slightly technical start for the women. Volumes, balance required, body position key, and then just becomes a little more burly above. It's a quite a change in styles.
Oh, really tiny, very tiny crimps.
Yeah, I'm just looking. That is actually...
Was it foot hold?
No, it's a hold.
Oh, it's hold.
Yeah, we have a route map in front of us. Obviously, all scores are provisional and the route map itself is provisional, but that tiny little hold that she's currently standing on is actually marked as a hold. No, actually it's the one above that's the hold. It's the one she's got her left foot on. No, that tiny one she grabbed is not a hold, according to the route map. So 42 moves in total on the women's route. Natsuki Tani the first to tackle it. Always a slightly nerve-wracking moment when the first climber comes out. You just want the route to work. There's no compulsory clips, by the way, on this route. We saw in both the men's and women's semi-final a compulsory clipping position. There is one in the men's final, but on this women's route there are none. However, obviously the climbers have to clip all quick draws in succession, as per usual on the lead wall.
I think she wants to get at the bottom part as soon as possible because lower part is always tricky move, and yeah, like this, not so good hold for foot.
I think she'll have to commit here. Got bags of endurance, but and bags of time actually at this stage. She's about halfway up the route, according to the route map, got more than half her time remaining, so climbed pretty quickly through the lower section. As I say, the route setters are not keen on the climbers being able to rest too much. This is really the last point at which she'll be able to pause. 3:40 now for Natsuki. Crowd becoming quite vocal behind us.
Yeah, struggling many moves.
I guess you have to jump.
I think yes, she will reach it. If she can stand up more right foot on the wet volume. Oh, she got it.
Didn't actually look too bad once she went. So she's used up quite a lot of time there, Natsuki Tani. Just keep an eye on it if it was to become a factor. She has got amazing endurance, so hanging on for 6 minutes not necessarily a problem.
Her moves again. Oh, she's good.
Yeah, tough move out left. Absolutely at the limit of her reach.
I think there is her favorite move part because many crimps and like endurance part.
We weren't expecting there to be many rests on the route, but she's taking one or two. Working hard now, Natsuki Tani. Having to shake out quite regularly. You can see that big hold coming up. That's hold 29, just above that one there. Out of a total of 42. This is a really strong performance from Natsuki so far. 2 minutes remaining, should have plenty of time left despite burning quite a bit just before the angle change. Just heading up towards hole 31. There it is, as I say, 42 in total, so only 10 moves to go. Fantastic performance so far. Paused a little bit lower down for that big move out right.
Only 3 fingers.
Ah, she's so strong.
Yeah, I don't think. Yeah, she feels pumped always. If she reaches the hold. Oh, she didn't. Yeah, she didn't fall.
It's a brilliant performance from Natsuki Tani. She was just going up towards hole 35 of 42. Really, really strong performance.
Yeah, really good. Few more moves to get the top. Few more moves.
So strong start. Will be Miho Nanaka out next. You'd imagine a slight change in climbing style. Miho, a vastly successful boulderer. Let's have another look. I think she was getting tired.
Yeah, as everybody knows, she's really good at bouldering, so I think lower part is not so hard for her.
So you can see Miho Nanaka in the doorway. 6 minutes begins, or will when she's had her 40 seconds observation. Choreography was not perfect on that occasion.
Okay.
Now she's out. Everything is normally so organized in Japan. What happened? Quite eerie music playing around the venue. We get all sorts on the IFSC tour.
So this is second time to make finals for her, right?
Yeah. Yeah, Miho, the season champion in 2018 in Boulder, finds herself here in the lead final in her home World Cup.
Yeah, there she made speed finals this season, so I think only her to make all of finals did bouldering speed.
Yeah, she's been in final in all 3 disciplines.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Only Miho, right?
Yes.
In the world.
Climbing pretty quickly, Miho. As you would expect, not hanging around at all. See her just heading over towards that move out to the right where Natsuki Tani took quite a long pause. Miho a little bit taller than Natsuki. And as we've said a couple of times, a very, very strong boulder. Wouldn't have thought would be too troubled by a dynamic move like this. Choosing to take a little bit of a rest before heading on up. Onto the angle change. We saw Natsuki Tani kind of pausing a couple of times on the head wall. There's not really any, I shouldn't say the head wall, the steep section of the route. There's not really any rest points, but you can at least pause and chalk up.
Oh!
Oh, and she went full commitment.
Like bouldering move.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. You could see the boulder in Miho coming out there. Miho climbing really quickly. Look at this. She's onto the steep section. Only just over 2 minutes elapsed. She's starting to get a little bit pumped. Looked a little bit hurried in her movements there.
Yeah, but still enough power to.
Oh, she's got so much power. It's fantastic to watch. So it's hole 35 where Natsuki fell. Yeah, still a bit of a way to go for Miho.
Just 2 moves to get Natsuki point.
You can see it there, hole 35. It's that long red one that Miho's going for now, and she just misses it, and that'll be the same score, I think, as Natsuki Tani. I'll wait for the judges to make their decision, but I think it'll be 34 plus. So both climbers basically falling on the same move. This was great. This was when she did the
great decision she did.
A really perfect execution.
The pinch which they fail, it has a real crimp on it, or this point?
I think there's a small one.
A small one.
Maybe. We're just looking over at the wall to try and see it. I don't have my binoculars, but I think there's a small crimp on the pinch they're going for. Yeah, Miho Nanaka does get a 34 plus and moves ahead of Natsuki Tani on the count back to the qualifying round. Both got 28 plus in the semi-final. Here's Laura Agora, Youth World Champion in boulder and lead. Exploded onto the scene a couple of years ago. And they're back in finals again here in Inzai. Another climber with an eye on the Olympics next year here in Japan. Lara, another of the smaller climbers.
But looks like she has long legs, long arms and long legs.
Yes, she does actually.
Not like me, I mean. I don't.
Yeah, I don't have either, so it's all right. I mean, do you think that it is an advantage or a disadvantage to be small or tall?
Yeah.
Because I feel like when we've seen you in boulder finals, sometimes you have a disadvantage.
Yeah, a few years ago, it was okay, I thought, but lately it's more like powerful moves and fun moves there. But Aimori, she made it. She made final and she got a podium, so no excuse.
That's a good attitude.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah, but honestly, I wish I could have more long leads and like Meichi.
Yeah. Yeah, Meichi Narasaki, of course, will be climbing later on this evening. His brother's not here this weekend. He's not climbing this weekend. But Meichi's safely through to the final. So here goes Laura Agora.
Yeah, first hardest point.
Oh, and she was just readjusting, Laura Agora. I don't think she was in the slightest bit tired. She was just readjusting. I would be interested to see that again. I think the B layer was surprised.
Just slipped her hand, or?
I'm not sure. Let's have another look. We were looking from a strange angle.
Oh, just right hand.
Oh, a really strange one for Laura Agora. That is a disappointment. Not the end she wanted to the World Cup season.
It's inside, so it's not so hot, it's not so humidity, but in my opinion, I felt strange sweaty yesterday.
Really?
Yeah, like how to say?
Aika Tajima out. 40 seconds observation begins. What? So that it wasn't hot, it wasn't humid, but it was still difficult to hold on.
Yeah, just like oily, sweaty.
Really?
How to say? Yeah, I think my friend also feel same. So
yeah, it's strange in the venue. The temperature changes a lot. Sometimes it feels really cold in the venue, and sometimes really hot. I don't know if the air conditioning is on a cycle, or I don't know, but it does feel like the temperature changes quite a lot in here. It's definitely not constant. So Aika Tajima gets underway. Third Japanese climber out of the 4 climbers who've been out so far. So she's just about to get to the section of blue volumes that leads out right to where Laura Agora fell. Using her flexibility well.
yeah. let's see how she will figure out the move.
So it gets to the blue volume. The method that Miho used was great, but you have to be confident.
Yeah. They did observations together, so yeah, she has a choice to do coordination move. So I don't know.
I think that's what she's planning. Yeah, here she goes. I think she's going to go for the same method as Miho. She just needs another second to psych herself up. Just chalk up one more time. Miho got it absolutely perfect. And she misses it.
She missed left hold.
Yeah, I think the left missed and then the right as well.
Oh.
Let's have another look in a second. It's the second climber to follow. Let's have a look. Oh, this is a perfect angle. So yeah, the right hand was definitely a bit too low, I guess.
Oh, that's really sad.
So she ends up with a 19 plus, actually, ends up lower down than Laura Gora. So 2 casualties in a row on that move out to the right. Natsuki did it no problem. Miho, well, Natsuki thought about it for a while, but then did it no problem. Miho did it really dynamically, but pulled it off pretty easily. And that's how they stand right now. Miho Nanaka and Natsuki Tani tied on score. Miho moving ahead on countback to the previous round. And Natsuki Tani second. Laura Gora third. Aika Tajima in fourth. So there'll actually be a short pause because of Japanese TV. So we have a short break until Akio climbs. What's it like for you to be in the same team with climbers like Akio and Miho? Do you feel like do you feel nervous around them? Because sometimes when like there's such legends. Or do you find it inspiring?
Yeah, always I feel inspired by every teammate. Then they are really friendly. We are good, not enemy.
It feels. Tell me if this is wrong, but it feels like in the Japanese team, everybody shares information.
Yeah.
Everybody helps each other.
Yeah, definitely. Like, you mean after climbing, right?
Yeah.
After climbing at the qualification, we always share, many kind of information, like just the hold was bad and you should care for it when you do it. Yeah, we do.
It's something you really notice, I feel, with the Japanese team more than some of the other teams. Is that you guys, it feels like it's a team. It's not just individuals.
Yeah. Like today when I knew Meiji made it final, we went to Meiji's and then just good luck for finals. We told him. Then we are okay.
It's if you ever get the opportunity to visit Japan, it's a really nice climbing culture.
Yeah.
Anyone at home watching this, the gyms are friendly. The standard is pretty high.
Yeah.
Most people in the gyms are pretty strong.
Hard route,
yes.
hard programs.
Yeah.
And also our coaches are good, like Yuka, Minoru. They have enough. They have many experience to competition, so always gives us good advice. So.
Akio Noguchi doesn't seem she needs much advice. She's 15 years into her career and as good as ever, and here she is in yet another final in a home World Cup. Could she pick up a 68th World Cup medal here this evening? 5th climber out, having come 4th from the semi-final. Miho giving her a bit of encouragement in the background.
So So no World Cups next season in Japan. So I think it's gonna be last World Cups for her. Just Olympic Games we have.
Yeah, just the Olympic Games. Yeah. Yeah, it could be a last home World Cup. Who knows? No one. I don't know what Akio's plans are, but yeah, it could be the last time we see it in a home World Cup. I hope not. Shouldn't have any problems. You wouldn't have thought with the lower section around these volumes. He's, as Mike Langley described it, he's a master of movement. So this kind of body position, moving in and around, to and from volumes, unlikely to challenge Akio too much. But the moves are, we're told, relatively insecure. Would be possible to slip off if you weren't concentrating. So we're in a couple of moves' time, we'll get ourselves set for the big move outright. Again, with all her bouldering experience, you wouldn't have thought she'll lack confidence in her ability to do it. Choosing to take a little bit of a break. We've seen clearly from Aika Tajima that you've got to be accurate with this move. Even if you make it, you've got to be accurate. Thinks about going statically. That's how Laura Agora felt. Akio just pausing.
I think she can reach it, the right hold.
Yeah, I'm surprised she's trying this static method. Here she goes. Oh, held it perfectly. I think that was close.
Yeah.
She kind of rocked her head back as if to say, ooh. So Akio safely through that move and now can begin the journey up and left, and it is a journey. Lots of tiny holds on volumes.
She looks calm now, so I think she's feeling good after a risky move.
Yeah, it must be a relief when you get a move like that done. You can see that's where she's headed, 34 plus. Feels like a long time ago actually. We saw the climbers up there. It's the highest hold you can see on your screen on the right. Akio upping the pace now, really committed to these moves. Definitely getting a little bit pumped, but still going well, Akio Noguchi. A couple more moves and she could have the high point.
She missed grip. Yeah, she didn't grip the last one.
She needs to get that clipped. That's not a comfortable clipping position for Akio. Oh, that's a slight waste of energy. And it's hanging right in front of her as well. It's so hard to clip a quick draw when it's in your lap like that.
Yeah, her legs is shaking.
Here she goes, 34 plus. Oh, and she makes it work. That's Akio Noguchi up to hole 35. First climber we've seen get there. She can only progress one move further, but that is her into first place with only 3 climbers to go. Excellent performance from Akio. Burned a little bit of energy there. Just with that awkward clip when the quick draw was just hanging right in front of her. This was her on the jump. I think from her reaction, she felt it was pretty close.
I just worried about this section, you know. Takes a long time.
This was a replay of when she latched that 35 and moved herself into the lead. Could she pick up more silverware? She's in first place now. Cheon-seo, Jane Kim and Yanya Garnbrett. Still to come. Choreography once again not working perfectly. Cheon just comes out and gets on with it. Winner of 4 World Cups in the 5 we've had before Inzai in 2019, exploded onto the scene and has been out in a league of her own in the league climbing in 2019. She is the season champion. That's already signed and sealed. She's never entered a lead World Cup and finished lower than 2nd.
Did anybody get champion? I mean, is a season champion?
Yes, she's the season champion.
She's youngest one, or other climber already?
I think she's the youngest one.
Oh.
Somebody let me know. Yeah, already the season champion because she won in Xiamen, 4 wins from 5. She's been the best climber in the lead World Cups in 2019, no question about that. But this weekend she hasn't quite looked as good as she has elsewhere on the tour this year.
I climbed with her before Brianson. She was very strong, not only lead bouldering, she was also strong. But
You're climbing in the gym or outdoors?
in the gym. But she didn't compete bouldering World Cups, right? So no tours.
No, she can't go to the Olympic selection event in Toulouse because, as you say, she hasn't competed in any Boulder World Cups. She will have the Asian Championships next year, maybe her route to the Olympics, but that will be her only chance to get there. So here she is on the boulder problem, trying to do it statically. I think that's why. Well, that is why the route setters put that furthest right blue hole. It's to block off that volume. It's to make you do it dynamically.
She will be good.
Executes it absolutely no problem. Looked very solid. So she's safely onto the steep section now. Can't believe how easy she made that boulder problem look. Decides to come back down, got bags of endurance. All the climbers lucky on. It's currently Akio Noguchi leading the way, 36 plus for her. Cheon gets going once again. She's got 10 or so moves before she's level with Akio. You can see there just a few volumes, but quite a lot of moves between them. It's quite a complex section of the wall. And 36, the whole 36.
Oh, she's trying to match it.
Oh, that could be tough.
That's good.
Oh, she makes it work. She's so powerful.
Then that clip, which Akio was struggling.
It's the same one, and she does it a bit earlier. It's still a bit awkward when you're pulling the rope over your leg like that. She's going to clip both quick draws at the same time, I think. Yep. So hole 36 is the red one, immediately left of the bolt she's just clipped. That's hole 36. The one Akio was going up for, 37, is the highest red hole that we can see on the screen. So that's the current high point as it stands, going up for that top red hole. There she goes. Looking strong on that 34 plus move. Oh, latching hole 37. This is a new high point for Cheon.
I see.
and cannot find a way to the top, but she can find a way onto the top of the leaderboard for now. She's in first place with 2 climbers to go. She will be on the podium.
Yeah, definitely.
But what colour will the medal be? Have another look. That was when she took the lead. So 37 plus now, the high point. This is nice route. The climbers just getting one move on. The high point just getting pushed out that bit further. And it's a 37 plus for Cheyenne.
Not so many bottleneck point, right?
That's your new favourite word.
Yeah, I just knew from Ashima. You know, when you feel pumped, sloper is really, really bad to hold.
It's not what you want to see.
No, I don't like it.
Jane Kim now. Statistically, the most successful World Cup climber in history.
Yeah, I'm happy to she's here because, you know, she got an injury on his finger.
Yeah, she's been struggling for a while with the injury, yeah.
But no taping this time, so.
And she looks 100% on the wall. She looks fine. Climbing really well. Nobody struggled with this lower section, which is good to see. Just technical, making the climbers think, but nobody falling off. Not what we want. We don't want climbers falling this low down. We want to see them have a good battle with the top section of the route. And this lower section's done its job. It's made them think, taken a bit of energy out of them, tested their technical skills, but everyone so far has got through it. Jane into the triangular volumes. She timed her run in the final last week in Xiamen absolutely perfectly. It looked like she might actually run out of time, but she got it down. I think she was within about 3 seconds when she topped. She was absolutely perfect. She really knows exactly what pace she likes to climb. She just manages herself to perfection.
Yeah, she always cares about time. Like now, you know, she has a watch on on her harness. But I like her climbing style.
Oh, it's great.
Yeah, it's great.
It's so nice to watch. So that cross through move, and then we'll get the clip done, then head out right, and then she got herself set up. She's won a couple of Boulder World Cups in the past, so no stranger to dynamic moves, but for sure she would prefer to do things statically and with a little more security, no doubt about that. Chooses to get the clip done and drops back down, and would perhaps take a little bit of a pause just to consider this move before launching into it. Here she goes, Jane Kim. Oh, no problem. I think she maybe even went a little bit too far right. Went with so much conviction. All the climbers looking on. 3:10 left on the clock for Jane. She's about halfway, so as I say, it looks like she's measured the pace pretty well again.
Yeah, in just half of time, 3 minutes.
just getting towards the end of the traverse. Couple more moves. Then she'll come back right. The holds up there beginning to look increasingly familiar. Chance got on to the third to last hole, the first of three huge blue volumes right at the top. Jane Kim got a dozen or so moves before she's up to there. It's 37 plus that leads away. 36 plus will get her onto the podium. 34 plus might get her onto the podium depending on how Janja Garnbret goes. Getting herself in position now. This is where the medals will be decided. As I say, if she can catch and pass Akio, she's going to guarantee herself a medal. And it was that red hold at the top of your screen there. That's where Akio was headed to when she fell. So that's for a place on the podium for Jane Kim. Remember, there's no way she can guarantee herself a win here because Janja Garnbret, after such a strong performance in the semi-final, if she comes out and matches Jane's score, even if Jane tops the route, if Janja matches it, Janja will win. So Jane Kim cannot guarantee herself a win, but she definitely can guarantee herself a podium. Bosch is up with the right hand, so strong, up to 35.
Just 2 moves to get first place.
That's a place on the podium for Jane Kim. Now if she can stick the next move, she'll move into first place. She can stick the next move. This is classic Jane Kim. Timed it really, really well, climbing immaculately. Just trying to figure out how to position herself under this volume. It sticks out more than you think. You've somehow got to find a way around it. Goes up with the right hand, the penultimate hold now. That's hold 40.
She still have enough time to get the top 30 seconds.
And it's an okay hold at the top, but it's not great. Here she goes.
That's amazing.
Oh, Jane Kim just needs to get the rope clipped and she will have topped the route. Immaculate stuff from Jane Kim, another top in her stellar career. It could be enough for the win. It is enough for first place right now. Only Janja Garnbret still to come, but Jane Kim has topped the route. And I have to say, it never really looked in doubt. She was super smooth up through there. Classic Jane Kim. Has been struggling with a finger injury, but seems firmly back to her best here in Inzai. I think she'll be sad the season's coming to an end because she's hitting form just as we finish off. You can see Janja standing in the doorway, ready to go. Wants to get on with this. This was Jane on the dynamic move. Yeah, body moves quite a long way right, actually. Had that compression position and was just able to hold on to it. So that was when she booked her place on the podium.
Yeah, she must be happy now.
And just looking across, we can actually see her about 30 or 40 meters from us. She looks pretty happy.
And now a lot of pressure on her, Janja.
Chen and Jane comparing notes. Here is Janja Garnbret. The maths is very simple for Janja. A top wins her the competition. Anything else does not. She's looked at the Janja of old this weekend. Really been climbing well all weekend in all 2 rounds we've had so far. 3 routes, 2 qualifying routes and the semi-final. What can she do here in the final? She's got 6 minutes. I don't think she'll need that long with her. She's got a much faster climbing style than Jane, and Jane still had best part of half a minute left, so time very unlikely to be a factor for Janja, and she sets off.
Yeah, I think it's favorite route for her, for Janja. So if she doesn't make any mistake, she will definitely get the top.
Yeah, I think so. She said she's really enjoyed the setting all weekend. Semi-final route was one of the best she's climbed this year. But she made a mistake last week in Xiamen when she jumped for the top. So
because she's really too good to coordination move.
Just needs to keep concentrating all the way up. kind of get the clip done, and then this is, the first really big challenge, this dynamic move. Two climbers fell here, Laura Agora and Eika Tajima. And you're just getting in position, showing the move a bit of respect by taking her time over it. I think sensibly choosing to get the clip done, it means that when you move, there's no chance of the rope dragging or any issues at all.
Oh, easily. She got.
Yeah, and you're very confident through this section. She said after the semi-final that it was a hard route in the semis. Will she find it the same in the final? She's cruising so far. This really the last place you can kind of pause and chalk up. There's two pretty poor little crimps, but if you've got to get yourself in a good body position, it seems that you can get a bit of a rest, and Janja took advantage of that. So there's not really, in terms of the win, there's not really much point us worrying about which hold she's on, because it's a top or bust for Janja. Only a top will win the competition for her. If she can catch a key on 36 plus, she will secure herself a medal. There's only one colour of medal she's interested in.
She knows Jane got the top, so it looks like she's climbing very carefully. Not like, usually she climbs very fast and fast. But now it looks like not to get any mistake. And
well, she's the first climber to really take a long rest here. Again, choosing to shake out, chalk up. You can see she's having to work hard here, Janja. The teeth are gritted there. This is a big move up now with the right hand. Oh, there it is for Janja. I think that was close.
yeah,
So that's her on the podium, but as I say, it's only a top will win for her.
it seems like she's feeling pumped. Oh,
I think she is feeling pumped, having to work so hard here, Janja Garnbret. The feet are going to cut loose and she will fall
so
short of the top. That means it is Jane Kim who wins. It is her 30th World Cup win. Janja Garnbret, she's looked so strong all weekend and she just couldn't find the energy for those last two moves. She looks disappointed. She will be second here in Inzai. It will be Jane Kim who wins again. She found the top of the route. She cruised the route and Janja was going well, and it suddenly just looked as if she got tired. 3 or 4 moves below that. This was her on the boulder problem.
yeah, I'm really happy for Jane. Yeah,
Incredible result, yeah. 30 World Cup wins for Jade.
yeah, that's amazing. Then last year, she got the first place in Kurani, right?
Sorry?
She got the first place in Kurani, right?
Who?
Slovenia. Kurani. Slovenia. I mean, Jane got the first place
No.
last year.
Oh, last year.
Yeah,
sorry,
last year,
yes.
I mean.
I was miles away. Sorry, yes, you're absolutely right. Jane Kim, you can see it there. Top for her. First place, Janja Garnbret ends up second. Couldn't find a way to top. Route Setter's got that one absolutely perfect. One top and a good split of scores lower down. Cheonsa takes third place. That is actually her worst finish in a World Cup. Hard as it is to believe. Akuna Noguchi narrowly misses out on the podium, and then in 5th, Miho Naka, Natsuki Tani, Laura Agora and Eika Tajima down in 8th. And we will be hearing from Jane Kim live.
Oh, she's crying.
Oh, that is amazing. I saw Jane yesterday, and she seemed really optimistic, really happy. She said the finger is fine. This is a dream result for her. Still talking about the route.
Yeah.
Still comparing notes, Jayan and Jane. As I say, we will get Jane for a live interview down the front. I just don't think anyone's told her. Yanya's just nipping back to get her cap actually, and the climbers will be presented to the audience. Yeah, Yanya looked, she looked strong and then suddenly just tired, like quite suddenly it seemed.
Yeah. You know, she's still strong, but yeah, just.
Jane was the best climber today.
Yeah,
for sure.
that's what I want to say. And it was really long season for her, for Yanya, because you know, she compete oral bouldering and lead World Cups.
Yeah.
Must be really tired.
Yeah, she's won 7 World Cups, 3 World Championships, and qualified for the Olympics this year, so it's not too bad. Jeonsa waves to the crowd, 3rd place for her. Yanya ends up in 2nd. She looked like the favourite all weekend, but couldn't quite find the energy for those last few moves. Picking up her 30th World Cup win, the first climber in history to claim 30 World Cups, Jane Kim. Absolutely extraordinary longevity, an amazing climber, adds yet another gold medal to her quite breathtaking CV. And I think Eddie has just explained to, there we go, and one of our officials, that she's got a live interview to go to. So amazing stuff. Jane Kim still doing it at the highest level over and over again. And she picks up yet another gold medal. Yanya close, not quite close enough. She has to settle for 2nd. And Cheonsa takes 3rd. Akira Noguchi, who led the way with 3 climbers to go, ends up just missing the podium out in 4th. So Jane will be down the front of the wall, and hopefully we can hear from her very shortly. I can see a couple of people from Japanese TV milling around, getting everything ready. Someone's in a rush. So let's get down to Eddie and Jane Kim.
Jane Kim, welcome back. It seems like an age since Cran last year. You've had an injury, you've been out. How does it feel to be back and back on the top step?
Yeah, I just cannot believe because it's been a long time since my last win in Cran, and after I got finger injury, you know, there's nothing easy for me. But now I was able to overcome that, and I'm really happy that I got the final route. And yeah, actually I thought Yanya also can the top of the route, but yeah, just cannot believe that, and I'm really happy.
Well, congratulations, and we will see you in Toulouse in about a month, I believe.
Yeah, for sure.
Excellent. Congratulations again. Thank you.
May, excellent women's final, and amazing to see Jane Kim win again.
The route was pretty good also because just one climber got the top. Yeah.
They got it. The level was absolute perfection. So good job to the route setters. An amazing job to Jane Kim. Breathtaking performance. We are going to take a very short break, and I will be back with a new co-commentator for the men's competition. But May, it's been a real pleasure to have you, and fantastic to have a Japanese co-commentator in Japan. Thank you very much for doing it.
Thank you.
And yes, we will be back in about 5 minutes' time with presentation and observation of the men.
Announcement to the climbers. The official results of women's final is now published on the official board.
選手を宣誓いたします。会場内のオフィシャルボードに公式リザルトを掲出しています。まもなく IFSC リードワールドカップインザイ2019男子決勝出場選手のご紹介を行います。関係者、スタッフは所定の位置につき、観客の皆様は客席へお座りいただきますようご協力をお願いいたします。
Welcome back to Inzai. That is the lineup for the men's final. Jesse Grupper will be out first, then Meiichi Narasaki, Loic Timmermans, Yuki Hara, Hiroto Shimizu, Stefano Gisolfi, Sean McColl, Sean Bailey, and Alberto Hines Lopez, the only man who could find a top in the semi-final. The only man, in fact, who got close. 9 men through to the semi-final because there was a tie for 8th place between Jesse Grupper and Meiichi Narasaki. They're tied all the way through the competition, so we would like to separate them, if at all possible, in the final. One thing to bear in mind, because they are tied throughout the competition, if they also tie in the final and it's for a place on the podium, it will come down to time. Just something to keep an eye out for. But hopefully they'll get separate scores. And very pleased to say that for the second time today, joined in the commentary box by a man who made the fatal mistake of doing a good job the first time and therefore gets asked to come back. Campbell Harrison. Campbell, welcome back.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
It's been quite a short turnaround for the climbers, those who are in the semi-final. They were back in the venue, what, hour and a half later, back in isolation?
Yeah, I thought that too. It was more or less straight back in again, grab a quick bite to eat out the front and getting ready for finals.
And we've just seen the women's competition. As you said yourself, you weren't 100% about the route at first, but ended up working pretty well. One top, good separation, good fight.
For sure.
Well.
Yeah, with the first 4 climbers, I was almost certain that we were going to see people fall either at the jump at the start or that one move to the red pinch up high, and then Akio managed to stick that. And actually, I think it was actually a super exciting finals route. You didn't know exactly what was going to happen. Yanya put in a good fight to finish where she did, and I think Jane Kim just climbed perfectly the whole way through.
Yeah, she was immaculate this evening. I'm saying 30 World Cup wins now for Jane, but she was head and shoulders above anyone.
I think so. I think the pressure of having to top the route definitely looked like it played on Yanya's mind, but in the end that's just part of the game, and I think Jane Kim just put everything together. She didn't make any mistakes and she came out on top.
And over on the men's side, really exciting lineup. I mean, it's quite a nice graphic because you can see the diversity of nationalities. You've got Americans, Canadians, Europeans, 3 Japanese climbers. It could be a really interesting final. A couple of people like Loic and Jesse in just their second ever final. Then we've got veteran like Sean McColl, looking to find another World Cup win. Stefano's not really been at his best for much of this season. We've got Alberto looking to claim that first World Cup win. There's so many potential stories. There's a nice lineup.
A huge range of ages as well. Alberto's 16 and Sean is 31.
We don't mention that. Yeah, but you're
right.
Yeah,
there's a huge difference between all the climbers.
So climbers will be introduced to the crowd again. Jesse Grupper, he's getting the hang of this World Cup thing. Appeared in the final, his first ever final 1 week ago in Xiamen here in Inzai. He makes it 2 from 2 on his trip to Asia. Meiichi Narasaki also 2 from 2 after appearing last week in Xiamen. He's armed with his binoculars and ready to roll. This time he is not joined by his brother. Loic Timmermans, second final for him after Chamonix a couple of years back. Here he is in Inzai, had a nervous second half of the semi-final as he watched himself get bumped down the order, but in the end he makes it through. Yuki Hara appearing in front of his home crowd. He'll be the second Japanese climber out, the second of 3. Hiroto Shimizu, the third of the 3, will be the third Japanese climber on the wall, but only the 5th climber. There are still 4 men after him, so he won't be able to guarantee himself a podium even if he tops the route. Stefano Gisolfi, a bit of an up and down lead season for him, would love to finish on a high. Here's Sean McColl, fell off on the second move of one of the qualification routes, but was so strong on the other and had such a good performance in the semi-final that he finds himself in the final. Sean Bailey, immense performance from him in the semi-final, looking his usual relaxed self, strolls out onto the stage for a World Cup final. And Alberto Hines Lopez topped the route in the semi-final, head and shoulders above everyone else. Can he back it up in the final and claim his first ever World Cup win? 6 minutes now begins for observation. They are on the right, the men, the right-hand wall. You can see the wall is actually split in 2. And red and black volumes all the way, with a couple of blue ones just chucked in as well. And as you can see, as we've seen on quite a few routes, including the 2 semi-final routes, there is a compulsory clipping position where we'll see it in just a second as we go up through the volumes. Dual texture being employed heavily here as well, as we've seen on quite a few of the routes this weekend. Dual texture volumes low down, just playing with the climbers a little bit, making them a little bit nervous, forcing them to certain body positions, and then slight change of style and into some slopers for this last section before things get really steep.
Yeah, a pretty intimidating start to the route. I think there's like a funky little underclean traverse section at the beginning here, and then a jump that looks somewhat similar to the one we had in our qualifications yesterday morning, or yesterday afternoon, and then kind of just like resistance-y climbing to the top maybe.
That's how it's been described to me. There is the compulsory clipping position, by the way, so you have to clip the quick draw marked with the X from the hold marked with the X, and we saw Mori fall foul of that rule earlier on. She carried on past the clipping position and then was called down. You can't go back and correct it. If you don't do it and you carry on climbing, you get ordered down from the wall by the judges. Once again, dual texture volumes and holds being used pretty liberally by the route setters. That enormous dual texture volume, I'd love to have seen them trying to jimmy that into position, because they don't have a cherry picker machine here. They're on scaffolding only. Can't imagine health and safety rules were observed that closely for the 15 minutes it took to get that bolted onto the wall. And then you're onto the black square volumes at the top, and then a final change of hold type right at the top. More dual texture once again, and it's the blue and wood effect holds. What do we call that? Wood effect? Is that about right?
I wouldn't even know, to be honest. It's still dual texture, I guess, but
I like them. They look great.
Yeah.
It's like something you'd have on your mantelpiece.
Absolutely. I think when the sort of wood plastic contrast started coming into effect, it's kind of the most aesthetic change that we've seen in like modern climbing hold styles. So it's really cool. And it does the job of forcing sequences really well, as well as being appealing to the eye.
Yeah, I mean, you're a route setter yourself back in Melbourne. Is that been the big advantage of dual textures becoming more and more commonly used, that you can, I don't like the thought of forcing climbers to do things a certain way, but you can encourage people to move a certain way, do a boulder or route a certain way?
I think so. I think they just make more climbing more complex. Just in their essence, you climb above a handhold and suddenly it's not a foothold in the same way it could have been used before. And I also think in a commercial setting they're really effective in the way that they stay nice and shiny and pretty for a really long time. You can't really wear down the polished section of the hold, so they have that lasting effect in a gym setting where holds are getting a lot of traffic, and of course they help you force sequences in certain ways that you otherwise might not be able to. I just think they're a really effective tool in a route setter's arsenal.
Are they pretty universal now in your experience in all gyms, or is it still kind of the top level gyms that are buying dual tech holds, or are you seeing them more and more in lower level gyms?
Well, they are expensive, but I think it's becoming more and more common to see at least some smaller dual tech holds in newer gyms. For sure, you would be hard pressed to start up a new climbing facility without purchasing at least a few dual texture holds in your opening set. Yeah, but I guess it's a little bit of a mixture. Every gym is different. There's a little bit of debate amongst some route setters as to whether they're useful in a commercial setting, and some people might argue that they're purely a competition spectacle. But I think that there's not really so much of a line between setting for competitions and setting for gyms. It's all climbing, and I really like them as an effective tool in both regards.
You can see sitting down in the front row there was Christian Binthammer. He's done a good job so far. He's got one more route to pull out of the bag, and he'll be able to look back on a very successful weekend. He's our chief route setter here in Inzai, also the chief route setter coincidentally in Cran, where we had the Hollywood finish with Adam Ondra sending it last climber out in the second final. Something similar today would be excellent entertainment if we could order it. There's Sean McCall, as you say, oldest climber in the final.
Still going strong though, clearly. Like, I feel like he's still putting in some of the best, especially in his lead climbing, some of the best climbing of his career.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he's one of those climbers that, I mean, I haven't spoken to him about when he plans to retire or anything like that, but he just seems to be going and going and going and still doing really well across all three disciplines and with a spot in the Olympics. So it's cool to see him through to the final if and after an upset in the qualifications.
Yeah, it'll be interesting after the 2020 Olympics who is still around. I hope we still see a Keogh, Sean, Jane climbing, but sadly it would be a logical place to leave it after the Olympics. But we'll see. We'll see who has the motivation. I mean, Romain de Grange competed for years. At age 35, he wins the season title and decided just to keep going.
Yeah.
If you've got the fire, just keep going.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, there are absolutely climbers who are finishing their careers after the 2020 Olympics, but exactly who those climbers will be, I'm not sure. And I hope we still see lots of the greats still coming back and competing while they're still in successful shape.
So climbers head backstage, 6 minutes of observation completed. As ever, discussions ongoing as they disappear back behind the stage. So the scene is set here in Inzai. We had a very entertaining women's final. 9 men, because of a tie for 8th place, climbing in the men's final. And we are moments away from getting started. We haven't had the project mapping we had in Hachioji. I don't know if you guys at home can remember, but they had some projection they put on the wall that played with all the angles of the wall. It's very clever. We haven't had any of that here in Inzai. But we've got a good crowd, a very enthusiastic crowd. They've got 3 Japanese climbers to cheer on. First out there will be an American, Jesse Grupper. Then the first of the Japanese climbers, Meichi Narasaki. Third out, Loic Timmermans. Then Yuki Hado, Hiroto Shimizu, Stefano Gisolfi, Sean McCall, Sean Bailey, and Alberto Hines Lopez. We were watching the semi-finals together here in the commentary box. Alberto, really, I have to say, on a different planet.
A cut above. He reminded me of, funny enough, like Fedir in the qualifications, and then Alberto in the semi-final, just like made it look like he was on another planet, basically.
Yeah, he did. Sean McCall and Sean Bailey weren't a million miles off the top, but sort of 4 or 5 moves short. Alberto Hines Lopez to the top. Definitely took a bit of a fight. You could tell he was pretty pumped by the time he got there, but he did get there, and it does give him the luxury that all he needs to do is match his nearest rival in the final, and he would win on countback. So if there are multiple tops, as long as he claims one of them, he will win tonight. But then the same was true of Yanni Gambret, and things didn't quite work out there. She ended up second. And Campbell, we mentioned this in the semi-final, but obviously not everyone was watching the semi-final. You've picked up a bit of an injury in training this week. Just tell us what happened again.
Yeah, so I took a fall basically and twisted my ankle pretty significantly. So yeah, I've been on a set of crutches for the last 5 days or so, and kind of just been hobbling around the competition venue. So I didn't get to participate in the qualifications, and I think, judging by the progression of the recovery of the injury, it probably means I'm out for China Open, and we had our nationals coming up as well. So I'll go home hopefully and start recovery for Continental Championships coming up in March next year.
It must be so frustrating though. Is it frustrating being at a World Cup injured, or does part of you kind of enjoy the experience without the pressure of worrying about your own performance?
It's mostly frustrating. I think this was a unique competition with regard to sort of my approach to it, because it's the end of the season. It's been a long one for me, longer than I'm used to, and so I definitely was tired coming into these competitions. So I'm not relieved by any means, but I think I'm more equipped to deal with that disappointment than I would have been perhaps earlier in the season. You know that you've got the time to recover before anything important comes up. It's not going to affect the next season or anything like that. So, and it's, it's still an opportunity to learn and grow from the experience and get to see all my friends off before the end of the season.
Yeah, it is frustrating. Travelling is not easy when you're injured either. I actually arrived in China 12 days ago on crutches. I'd managed to pour half a pan of boiling water over my foot and more or less melted the top of my foot. And I have to say it's healed miraculously. I don't know if it was a Chinese water in the shower or sushi or something, but something's healed it miraculously. I'm back on as close as I get to good form. But yeah, travelling is not easy at all when you're injured.
No, it's been particularly difficult as well. I'm carrying around a suitcase on wheels, so I haven't been able to move that on my own. So I had to get some teammates to come to my hostel and move to the competition hotel here. I wasn't really able to get around on the crutches very well to start with, so kind of just spent a few days locked in a dorm room in a hostel in the middle of Shinjuku, Tokyo. So it's been an interesting experience, and I think still unsure as to how the rest of the trip is going to go with regard to whether I fly home or continue the trip and just don't compete. So getting around is going to be tricky, but you know, it's all part of the process, and you know, it's a good lesson. All you got to do is ask for help, and we have such a strong community of people here, and it's really eye-opening to see just how willing people are to drop everything and help out, despite being competitors and being from other countries. And I've had help from physios from the other nations as well. So, you know, there are definitely silver linings to the whole experience beyond just not being able to climb or having ended the season early.
And you mentioned there the China Open. A surprising number of the climbers are off to do the China Open. I mean, for us on the IFSC live stream, that's it, we're done after this. But a lot of people have got another competition again next weekend.
Yeah, so there's a full IFSC, Olympic format combined competition coming up. So should be a bit of fun for everyone who gets involved in that one.
Yeah, China Open next weekend. Spotlight now finds Jesse Grupper as somebody very near our commentary position does not have their phone on silent. The cardinal sin.
I don't remember the last time I had my phone turned up. My phone's permanently on silent.
Jesse Grupper being made to wait quite a long time here. The choreography of getting the climbers out hasn't actually been that slick this evening. It's not something we're used to seeing in Japan. There's been a lot of this, of climbers kind of wanting to come out and then getting announced or thinking they've been announced and coming out and going back in.
Well, Miho came out, walked back in, and walked straight back out again, essentially, in the women's final earlier.
That was quite comical.
Yeah. No one seemed to know what was going on. The commentators didn't know. She didn't know. Herbalea didn't know.
So now Jesse Grupper makes his way out. Not an easy start to the competition, being made to stand in the spotlight for that long with everybody's eyes on you. Chooses not to take very much of his 40-second observation at all. And 6 minutes underway as he leaves the ground. So yeah, these dual texture volumes, just a bit of an awkward start, not expecting it to be hard in inverted commas, but it just messes with the climbers a little bit, just puts them on edge slightly. It's not comfortable by any means.
Well, there's been no shortage of hard starts, however, this competition, so I'm sure everyone who's coming out to climb is prepared to pull hard from the ground, I think.
Well, we had 2 falls on the first move in the semi-final, didn't we? And quite a few in the men's qualifier.
Even in the women's qualification, we had a number of climbers fall at the 4th hold on the first qualification, and yeah, it's definitely not been easy to establish onto the wall. Even this looks quite complicated and quite awkward.
Yeah, quite an unusual sequence there, kind of crossing through with the right hand to free up the left and then moving the right back. Jesse, it would seem safely through the most technical section of the route. Quite interesting Christian Binthammer was saying, they don't want the climbers to be sure about every move. You know, what they want to avoid is climbers just knowing how to do every move and being able to, it basically being who gets tired the first. They want people to be slippery feet and a little unsure of their movement.
Yeah, I think you should have to keep climbers on their toes in terms of like, you should have to try to climb perfectly. It shouldn't just be a matter of grabbing the next hold, you know. It should obviously be a test of fitness, but I like it when it's in that sense.
More technical moves, albeit on steeper terrain now for Jesse. Executes that foot swap nicely.
Jesse's made a static version of every, or what I've perceived to be diners, across every round of the competition.
Knows what works for him, hey?
I think so. I think that's it.
Now he's on to that enormous dual texture. Did well to hold the swing there. A lot of force through the bicep on that kind of move. And the back of the shoulders, and he held on to it well. Has a look over his shoulder, and I think will be reasonably pleased with what he sees. More than half his time remaining. He's up to hole 23, and there's only 42 on the route, so you can see there exactly where he is. So his pace has been pretty good, actually. Seems to have timed it well. It's kind of a race against the clock and the pump. And he's doing pretty well so far.
Some pretty positive holds through this section here. That I know that undercling's quite good, and the yellow dual text with the blocker in is quite positive as well. But it looks like they get a little bit smaller and a little bit pumpier through the next sections.
Oh, it's a pretty terrible hold on a wall of that angle. And there's another one coming up now for Jesse. Oh, almost managed to hold on to it. Falls with 2 minutes 34 left on the clock on hole 29. Now then, do you think could be awarded 29? Probably not.
Touch and go. Yeah. He's got, what, 28 at the moment. He'll probably upgrade to 28 plus. He definitely put weight through it, but I don't know if he controlled it per se.
Let's have a look. This is it. So that's hole 28 in his hand. And one he's going to is 29. And do we think he'll be awarded? Let's have another look. I think you'd have a pretty good case for that. He's still showing up as 28. We're getting our scores on slight delay.
Actually, I changed my mind. I would give that 29. I think
he kind of swung out and went back in.
He hits it, he cuts, he holds it, you know? There's no doubt that he used the hold to maintain that position for so long. It's not like he was holding on from the bottom hold, so...
Yeah, right now it's showing up as a 28 plus, but we'll see. I think he'd have a good case for challenging for an upgrade there. Meiji Narasaki now, next climber out. No Tomoa this weekend. He's the only Narasaki brother competing. First Japanese climber in the men's final. Very confidently through the lower section, the first few moves. Strong performance last week from Meichi and Xiamen. And he's going well here in Inzai. Qualification day went well, semi-finals went really well. Looks confident in the final. Never won a World Cup, Meichi Narasaki. Double youth world champion in boulder and lead. Never won a World Cup. You can see the compulsory clip coming up from the big black volume. You can see there's just, it's actually his hands obscuring it. There it is. It's just a little blue jib on the volume. There it is, just to make things ever so slightly better. It's not for the fingers, it's for the palm. Or the thumb, I suppose. Yeah, he uses his thumb on it. Oh, and just managed to hold on, but can't hold on the second time. He went out to the left. We saw Jesse go full commitment there as well, and just about hang on to it, but Meichi went out. It looked like he'd held it, but as soon as he came directly back underneath the hold, he fell. Let's have another look.
He just didn't jump high enough. I think he needed to have closed his left arm a lot earlier and come up over the top of that slope that he palmed down on a little faster, because he he just sunk it and he was never going to hold the undercling after that.
So not the result he was after at all. Jesse Grupper stays in first place for now. Meichi goes into second, giving a score of 19 plus. Loic Timmermans out next. Second final for him. Again, just being made to wait in the doorway. As Loic makes his way out. We filmed a tour of the venue earlier this weekend. You can see it on the IFSC Facebook page. And I came out of the door, and when they have the lights on, the spotlight, you can't see anything. And it must be quite strange for the climbers to stand there. You don't know if everyone's looking at you. You don't really know what everyone's thinking, and you're just standing there with this spotlight in your face. Not an easy situation.
I think it's nice to block out the crowd a little bit though, just before you start.
Yeah, that's probably true actually. Gives you something else to think about. So Loic gets going. Jesse and Meichi comparing notes. Really strong performance from Loic Timmermans in the semi-final. One of three climbers, the three climbers who've been out so far, including Loic, who scored a 30 plus in the semi-final. It was a hard route.
Yeah, I was talking to some of the semi-finalists after that round, and Jim Pope was saying that the whole route felt hard from the ground. Like he said, even when he stuck the dyno, he was already a little bit pumped and just fighting continuously from there. So yeah, it definitely looked like a super hard route.
Climbing quickly, like Meichi Narasaki, relatively tall climber. So how will he deal with the jump out left? Where we lost Meichi. Actually gets the clip done early. Remember, it doesn't mean that you have to clip from that hold, just by that is the last point from which you can clip. Loic choosing to do it a little bit earlier. So. Here he goes, and decides to just roll out to the left. Oh, and holds it nicely. Got the right hand down. I think it was a little bit touch and go for a split second.
I got really nervous when he went to go static and then stopped, and I wasn't sure he was going to be able to pull it back together, but that was perfect, exactly how he as soon as he had the right palm down on the blue hold, he just like wrenched his body up, kept the undercling in the most positive position possible, whereas Meichi kind of sagged in and tried to control it from below.
I think just taking a second to kind of get his head back in it, maybe Loic after that. It was, as you say, when he went static, it looked like he might just slither off the wall.
That was one of those moments where I think he put himself in a sticky position and he had to act really fast or it was all over.
He did really well to react and get out of it. So still 28 plus from Jesse Grupper. Hasn't been given 29, by the way. It is a 28 plus. Still leading the way. Oh, things get a little complicated. You can see how many holds are out and right, and Loic will not get the opportunity to get there.
Again, Jesse made that big scoop look like a jug. Just had a completely different method of transferring into it.
It's nice work from Loic. Really difficult when you're rotating around like that to stop yourself. Got to push pretty hard through that right arm. So that's a bit of a better look at the hole we're talking about.
Yeah, I think he just needed to get his foot up a little higher for that one and again like press into the undercling a little more.
22 plus showing up for Loic.
Good split so far though, which is nice to see early in the round.
Yeah, Yuki Hara makes his way out onto the stage, and as you say, we have got a nice split, 28 plus, 22 plus, and 19 plus the scores as it stands.
The climbers get a lot shorter now as well for the next few. Almost everybody coming out is shorter than the climbers we've seen so far.
Yeah, Meichi and Loic comfortably the two tallest climbers. It's often not that clear whether it'll be an advantage or disadvantage height on certain moves. Got longer levers.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things, like it really depends on the route setting, and you are a little bit heavier as a taller climber, so you have to have a different set of skills. And but sometimes you can attain rests that some of the small climbers might not be able to, or reach through sequences that the small climbers might not be able to do in certain ways. So I think there are really benefits to both body types, and different route setting lends to different styles.
So safely onto the first of the black volumes. Yuki had a course, as you can tell, the positions aren't especially comfortable on this route. Moving quite slowly, never wants to throw his body weight around too much. Pretty hopeless crimp that he's making look pretty good. So I think Loic's height was a bit of an advantage there, and that he got to clip the quick draw from a slightly more comfortable position than Yuki Hara's going to have to clip it. Getting a lot of encouragement for the local crowd now.
Whoa.
Oh. So where Loic put his right hand down and palmed onto it, Yuki just chucked his feet up.
And I guess that's one instance in which a taller climber like Loic probably wouldn't have been able to even attempt that beta. So like initially when I looked at this route, I thought maybe it favored the taller climbers, but then seeing that method, it's kind of much for muchness really. As long as you climb to what suits your body type, then usually there's a way around sequences like that.
It's a quite high risk maneuver though, kind of karate kicking your feet up like that. Had to be accurate. Now this is where Loic fell. Yuki gets a good hand on that big dish. Oh, and does well to get himself corrected. You can see that's a bit of a look at it. It's not that positive actually.
No, it's quite bad coming into it from the other side.
Legs just beginning to quiver actually as he was trying to hold the body tension through there. Definitely looking tired now, Yuki Hara, but climbing well. Not too far off now from the high point of Jesse Grupper. It's that next hole is 29. That was the one that Jesse couldn't stay on, but Yuki's got himself in a bit of trouble here. Got the rope in between his legs, tried to clip, cut his feet off so that he could free the rope up. Now he gets the clip done, but he's burned quite a bit of energy there, unnecessary energy. 2.5 minutes to go, he also goes for hole 29 and comes up short, but will be awarded, I would imagine, a 28 plus and will move ahead of Jesse Grupper on count back to the semi-final. was a high risk but high reward strategy. Let's have another look. This was him setting up. Really, the last thing he needed before that was that fumble with the rope.
Yeah, when he dropped the clip, it was kind of all. I think he was already fighting pretty hard to get the clip initially, and then when he blew it the first time round, I think it was more or less over from that point.
So Hiroto Shimizu will be the next climber out. I believe we've got a short break while Japanese TV take their commercial break. That's how it stands right now. Yuki Hara 28 plus, Jesse Grupper 28 plus. Behind only on countback, Lurk Timmermans 22 plus and Meiichi Narasaki 19 plus. Next climber out, Hiroto Shimizu, and then it'd be Staffan Ogasolfi, Sean McCall, Sean Bailey, and Alberto Hines Lopez. Well, we were discussing the minutiae of scoring, and with that being the current standings, Jesse might be having another look at his score.
Yeah, I think that was one of those things when it might mean the difference in placing. I wouldn't be surprised if the US team was to put an appeal in before the round is over, just because it was really unclear as to whether Jesse should have been awarded solid on hold number 29.
If you look at how Jesse did it, he goes out, he gets it with the right hand, feet swing out, come back in, and then he drops it. Whereas Yuki basically just slapped it and never really got close to holding it, and it doesn't.
That's exactly it. There's a significant difference between what each of those climbers was able to do with those holds on the wall, and you can't deny that there was one point where Jesse's almost his entire body weight was supported by that one crimp, and each hold he was holding was so small that it's hard to say that he didn't make use of hold number 29, but whether or not you were to award him control is a whole nother kettle of fish.
Oh, I would never be a judge, and I'd never be a route setter. Hard jobs. Jesse and Yuki comparing notes, actually. Meiichi joining in as well. I think Loic ever slightly frustrated behind them. I love this. All the climbers are done. Their World Cup season is done, but they're still comparing notes on the route.
I guess it's never really done, you know. You're always on to the next season until you retire. And even with climbing, even once you retire, you continue the sport onward. Outside masters competitions, it doesn't end until you really want it to, which is cool.
Hiroto Shimizu, next climber. Here he comes again, waiting in the doorway for a little while before he comes out. Couple of finals for him last year. You might remember he put on a great show in Briançon. Here he is at a home World Cup in a final where we're missing a couple of the big names. Jakob Schubert still back in Europe. Adam Ondra went back to Europe after Siemens. There's a couple of people missing who quite frequently feature on the podium, and that leaves an opportunity for someone to take. Is Hiroto Shimizu the man? Taking a good look at the route. Let Sabile know he's on his way, and off he goes.
Hiroto is definitely a climber who's more than capable of taking a win, I think, at a World Cup level. But whether this particular route will suit his style, I'm not so sure. He tends to favour the more endurance-based sort of climbing. So I think if he makes it through the low sections, he could climb quite well through the upper parts of the route. It's just whether or not he can coordinate those movements and that sort of thing. I haven't really seen him bouldering too much in the past, and I know he really favours those routes like we were saying before, where you can it's just a matter of grabbing the next hold and who gets tired first.
Yeah, I'd say he's kind of as close as Japan have got to an out-and-out lead climber.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
he's for sure a specialist. You can see it just in the way that he moves on the wall, the way he approaches climbing. His general rhythm is very characteristic of like classic old school lead climbing. He's got super strong fingers, really precise work through in his shoulders. It's just kind of like a steady progression the whole way up the wall, rather than a set of boulder problems kind of strung together.
It's one of the great things about the sport is the contrasting styles. But yeah, he has. He's got that lovely smooth style, very efficient. They're the 4 climbers who've already climbed. Sitting on the couch is just off to the left of the wall as we look at it. Plenty of time left, but we said he's a relatively steady climber. If he was looking for a top, I think he probably would need to speed up just a little bit.
Yeah,
more than a third of his time used up.
Yeah, 2 minutes is a long time to have used kind of before where we saw any of the other climbers start resting. I think you get a lot of nice holds in the next few quick draws that it's more wise to shake out on than prior to this jump.
Again, has a little shake. Now, what method will he use here? We saw Timmermans put right hand down, and then we saw Yuki Hara jump out with the feet. He does the same as his compatriot.
Just like perfect. It was like as soon as he decided that he was going to move, everything came together instantly, and I think that's super important with jumps like that. You know, you take the time to be established in your plan and what you want to do, and then you just have to execute, because you only get one go, so you have to put everything into whatever method that you choose.
Less than half of his 6 minutes still left on the clock for Hiroto Shimizu. So he needs to get a little bit of a move on. 28 plus, still the high point to try and beat.
It's certainly enough time to take the high point. Whether he's going to have enough time at his current pace to finish the route, I wouldn't be so sure, but he's climbing well nevertheless.
Crowd are beginning to make a bit of noise now, cheering him on. Getting pretty close now. This would be a new high point if he can latch the next hold.
He really just doesn't look too phased yet. No problems at all.
Smooth as you like. So that's him into first place with a 29, and now from here on out, he's just pushing that high point further and further away from the competition. That's 31. 42 moves in total on this wall.
And he's picked up the pace a little bit. I'd say that he's got more than enough time to finish the route if it comes to it.
Suddenly just cheeks beginning to puff out a little bit to convey just how hard he's trying. Again, head rocked back with the effort of making that move work. 1:10 left on the clock. He's really stepped up the pace here, and he's had to as well. He's getting tired. He's running out of time. He's got a minute left. Tried to go out with the right hand to the third of those dual texture holes and couldn't quite stick it, but he will find himself in a very comfortable first place. 10 moves clear of anyone else, Hiroto Shimizu. Really strong performance, comfortably the best we've seen anyone look on the wall so far. And he has the lead with only 4 climbers to go. Stefano Ghisolfi, Sean McCall, Sean Bailey and Alberto Hidez Lopez still to go. This is when he made a very quick decision and executed it perfectly. He started to look pretty tired just before that. Stefano Ghisolfi, 5 times a World Cup winner. Can he make it 6? Here he comes, Stefano, who's been second in the season standings in 2017 and again in 2018. He's not going to manage that here in 2019 in Inzai, but a World Cup win would be a nice way to end what's been a bit of an up and down season for him. He will go to Toulouse in, it's actually a month today we get underway in Toulouse. He will go to Toulouse with the opportunity to seal Olympic selection, and regardless of how the rest of the year's gone, you can't help thinking that if he does that, he'll be a happy man. But a win here in Inzai to take him to Toulouse would be the dream way to finish his main IFSC campaign.
I think it was a kind of hot topic after semi-finals and coming into the final as well. Everyone's trying to figure out exactly who's going to be going to Toulouse, because obviously the rankings aren't finalised until after the final round, but factoring in the country quota and who's already qualified and that sort of thing, trying to figure out who's on that bubble, whether or not any climbers potentially won't accept their invitations for whatever reason that might be. But it's definitely the potentially the end of the road for some climbers who've put quite a lot into the process of qualifying for Toulouse and qualifying for the Olympics. We still have the Continental Championships, of course, but with only one spot, it's such a small margin. So,
well, and also a lot of countries might have filled their 2 agenda.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, Toulouse could well be the end of the road for a lot of people.
I know with the American women, Slovenian women, they have more women in the top 20 than they have spaces.
Nice problem to have, unless you're one of those climbers. Nice problem for the federation to have. Stefano just struggling a little bit with that clip, tried to make it swing so it came back towards him.
He really just doesn't look settled on that sloper there.
No, this has happened a few times this season on lead routes. Stefano's just kind of set off and never really got going.
I know he doesn't like slopers very much. Would much prefer a crimp.
There he goes. Did well to get himself out of that, Stefano, because he was on a hold he didn't like, going out to a big committing dynamic move. It'd be pretty easy to fluff that. Yeah, it's been a few times this season he's set off and it's just, for whatever reason, just never looked like he's quite found his rhythm.
I think from here on out the route should suit him again as a lead specialist. There's definitely a very clear-cut point in this route where the holds get smaller and the difficulty of the move gets more consistent. And I think it's a little bit beyond this section. It just turns into pure endurance-based lead climbing, and I think that'll suit him a little better than what we've seen on the route so far.
Just has a quick check of the clock, and he might be slightly dismayed by what he sees. He's used more than half the allocated time, and he's currently at hole 20 out of 42 with 2.5 minutes left. There you can see it. A lot of climbing still to be done. So I think Stefano might put his famous endurance to good use and just get motoring here. It's a tough move, releasing the right hand. Loic Timmermans fell there. Stefano Ghisolfi makes it work. Just over 2 minutes left now for Stefano. Really needs to up the pace if he wants to find a top. Even if he wants to take the lead. Oh, really commits with a big jump up left. Couple of good holds there for the left hand. The next one for the right hand's not bad either. And the one above it, the yellow hold. And then you're on some pretty horrible crimps. So that's second place for now for Stefano. That was the 28 plus move where we lost a couple of climbers lower down the order. 30 now for Stefano Gasolfi, chasing down Hiroto Shimizu. Has he got enough gas? Has he got enough time? 1 minute 10 left now. Really battling. You can see how pumped he is. The look on his face, forearms look like they're exploding. Trying to shake out and get something back. Tried the cross through with the right hand and just didn't have the energy. It'll leave him in second place for now, Stefano. None of the podium places yet decided, because although we've had 6 climbers, there are 3 more to go. 9 men in the final this evening. Similar method to Loic. So second right now for Stefano, with Hiroto Shimizu still leading the way. And he'd been looking tired for half a dozen moves before that. So, good day from Stefano. Won't be enough for a 6th win, but a strong performance. He's currently sitting second provisionally. Sean McCall, third to last climber out. If he takes a high point, he will guarantee himself a medal. Taking every bit of his individual observation period, Sean. He's got to deal with this slightly confusing start, which he has done.
He likes to climb quite fast, especially through the beginning of the route often. So, yeah, it'll be interesting. I don't think this is the kind of route that you can motor through the beginning. Might have to take a little bit more time than he's used to establishing through the beginning sequences.
Just jimmying around on those footholds. He's out to the crimp and then the big traverse left, and then we've got the big jump, which seems to be the first really serious test of this route. So get himself established. I don't think he'll be able to reach the clip from the hole he's got his right hand on. So he'll have to clip from the big black volume, which hasn't always looked particularly comfortable.
No, I think it looks terrifying. Fortunately, you're not too far from the last straw, but in terms of, you know, staying on the wall and being able to continue your attempt, it's definitely the sort of thing I would find quite intimidating as a competitor.
I think, as with most climbers, a little bit of a heart in the mouth moment on the leap out to the left.
Yeah, there's just no room to hesitate or to hold back in modern competition climbing. I think you just have to you have to have so much conviction when you're climbing. If you aren't willing to go for a jump or a low percentage move, then someone else will be. So you have to be willing to take those risks, especially in a final round. Otherwise, it's never going to happen. So it's definitely one of the aspects of modern comps that I'm really enjoying watching. Is just how committed like both genders are having to be within their climbing.
Doesn't quite come across on TV actually, but this section of the wall is so steep. much closer to horizontal and vertical. Sean really fighting, went stabbed up with the left hand just before the first of those black volumes. And just ran out of gas. At round hole 28, I think that'll be a 27 plus for Sean, so that'll leave him in 5th place for now. Let's have another look. That does mean that Hiroto Shimizu, who's currently leading the way, will be on the podium. Sean Bailey, second to last climber out. Sean looked like he was just getting ever so slightly confused with the very first moves. Needs to get that first quick draw clip before he gets too far off the deck. He'll be able to clip both in the same position, you'd imagine. No, decides to carry on ever so slightly. Never won a World Cup, Sean Bailey. Got pretty close to winning a Boulder World Cup in Vail a couple of years back. Already had a good 2019. 6th in Briançon. A couple of World Cups ago at the end of July. Here it is in Inzai. Season finale.
When the route setting suits him, I think he's unstoppable sometimes. He just can seemingly hold on and on and on and on.
He's got his uber endurance. Climbs out of San Diego in Southern California. Could be worse, I suppose. Interesting. Stefano Gasolfi's still breathing hard. Oh, we lose Sean really low down. What happened there?
Another victim to the jump, just not quite. Didn't quite hit it in the right spot, I guess.
Let's have another look. Yeah, the left hand didn't look that solid.
No, I think he kind of hit the back of the blocker and then never really fully established into the slot. And so it didn't really matter whether he hit that right hand perfectly or not because he just didn't have enough of the hold.
Disappointment for Sean Bailey. Ends up 7th. Looking back up, just wondering what might have been. Alberto Hines Lopez, the last climber out, the last climber in action in the IFSC Lead World Cup season of 2019. Topped the route in the semi-final. Is he still tired? Has he recovered? Is he back at full strength? We will find out very shortly. Got a big challenge on his hands here. This route is looking pretty tough. 38 plus the current high mark, and there are 42 holds. Mind you, he won the semi-final by about 4 moves, so perhaps that bodes well. 6 minutes begins, he's underway. A sensation this year in 2019, Alberto Hines Lopez. Is there a problem with that lower quick draw? Just looking, is it just a rope caught strangely? I think it is, yeah, the rope's flowing freely. I thought it might be stuck in the gate or something. So Alberto, people still talking about that performance in Chamonix. They've been talking about this for a while, if he could find a way to the top. Surely a climber who is going to make the leap to winning World Cups at some stage. He's been pretty close on a couple of occasions
For
in
sure.
his short career.
Yeah, if not today, then soon enough, I'm sure. I like his chances if he can stay cool through the lower sections again. He's easily got the endurance. His fingers are for sure strong enough. The cut loose he pulled on the semi-finals was pure insanity. And yeah, so I can't imagine there are any moves on this route that he can't do.
Yeah, this jump has just been causing problems. He needs to get it absolutely perfect.
Oof.
Yeah, I don't think the left hand was perfect again.
A little wild, but he pulled it together.
Yeah, all looking a little bit rodeo for a second there.
There was like a little moment of panic where I think he just kicked into gear to to stay on the wall.
Foot just slipping on that big dual texture yellow volume. He's got his left foot on, just making things a little bit insecure. But he's still going, Alberto Hines Lopez. Such a great addition to World Cup finals this season. Is a real character and a real scrapper. So really getting towards the business end of things now. Remember, it's 38 plus that leads the way. And that's him heading up towards hold 30. So it's going to be very, very close. He'll need to get comfortably into the wooden blue volumes at the top if he wants the win.
Nervous wait for Hiroto Shimizu, I'm sure. He's not making it look clean, but he's still on the wall.
Fighting hard now, Alberto Hines Lopez. If he's going to win this competition, it's going to be hard. He's going to win it the hard way. The feet cut loose, bashes up with the left hand. Remember, it's 38 plus he needs. It's going to be so close, this. Oh, and I think he will come up just short. And Hiroto Shimizu will take the win. Alberto Hines Lopez will not get much closer to that first World Cup win than that. It is Hiroto Shimizu who takes his World Cup win. Amazing performance from him. He looked really solid on the route. This is Alberto's jump out to the left. Looked like he had a little bit of a heart in the mouth moment as he went out. And Alberto will not get much closer, but Hiroto does pick up his first ever World Cup win. Incredible result for him. Almost got it taken off him by Alberto Hines Lopez, but Alberto ends up second.
Only his third time, in the top 10, let alone winning a World Cup.
Some rate of progress, yeah. Hiroto made the final in Briançon in 2018, was second in Briançon this year, and this time around in Inzai, he's won. So Hiroto Shimizu wins. Let's have a look at the results. There it is, 38 plus, couldn't find a top. Alberto Hines Lopez gave it everything he had, maybe still feeling the effects in that big fight in the semi-finals. Ends up second. And Stefano Gisolfi back on the podium after a bit of a topsy-turvy season. Yuki Hada ends up fourth, Jesse Grupper fifth, Sean McColl in sixth, Loic Timmerman seventh, Sean Bailey in eighth, and Meiichi Narasaki in ninth. We will be grabbing a word with Hiroto once the climbers have been presented once again to the crowd. Yeah, so that's how they finish. Hiroto, a World Cup winner, must sound pretty nice, must have a nice ring to it. It must be an amazing feeling for a climber as well. You know, you worked so long, and when you get a win, you just think, if I retire tomorrow, I'm a World Cup winner.
Absolutely, but I think that's just characteristic of the nature of elite athletes, is that once you get a taste of the first win, you just want the second one, and you start to even expect the second one. I think it's the same with like making your first semi-finals, making your first finals. It's a dream until it happens, and then it's an expectation, and just not satisfied until it happens again and again.
Well, we shall see. Hiroto Shimizu, as we said, his rate of improvement from making his first final in Briançon a year ago to picking up his first podium in Briançon in 2019, and now his first win. It was only his third final. Amazing stuff. So, great story to finish the season here in Inzai. Jane Kim becoming the first person in history to win 30 World Cups, and Hiroto Shimizu in front of the home crowd taking home the win for Team Japan. And I'm just looking, there are the top three, and also, of course, we should say, nice to see Stefano Ghisolfi back on a podium.
Now let me introduce the top 3 men climbers.
それではここで男子上位3選手をご紹介いたします。
Third place, representing Italy, Stefano Ghisolfi.
Stefano Ghisolfi, the prize he really wants, can be found in Toulouse in a month's time, but he will go to Toulouse with a good result, a bronze medal in the bag from Inzai. One behind that man there, Alberto Gines Lopez, still out of breath. He gave that route everything he had. We've come to expect nothing less, but neither of them could catch that man in the middle. Hiroto Shimizu, best climber on the day, a deserved winner, a World Cup winner, and we will hear from him with Eddie down the front very shortly. He does speak a little bit of English, Hiroto.
Oh, perfect.
Whether he will feel confident enough to speak English on the camera is another matter. I'm always very aware that it must be so hard for people. It's hard in your first language, but getting a camera and a very bright light shoved in your face is not an easy situation.
Yeah, there's definitely a sense of privilege in being having English as a first language when it comes to interacting in these sort of spaces with the media and even just navigating a World Cup and the social scenarios. So I can only imagine what it's like to speak it as a second language and maybe not be so confident. But it's so nice to hear from, especially like a first-time World Cup winner. So hopefully he'll be happy to speak.
Yeah, I've just been told, by the way, he will be talking through a translator, which is, as I say, absolutely understandable. My Japanese probably wouldn't stand up to a live interview. But speaking of live interviews, Hiroto is ready. Let's hear from him now, and Eddie asking the questions.
And you've done it here on home soil in Japan. How does that feel?
今回初めてワールドカップで優勝して、しかもホームカントリーで優勝したこと、どうですか、気分は？
やっぱりこう本当に優勝を目標にして本当にやってきたので、すごい本当に嬉しいです。で、ホームでやっぱり応援とかもやっぱりすごくて、それが本当に力になったんで、本当にありがとうございました。
Finally, I won in the World Cup and it's speechless, and especially in the home country, everybody cheer for me, so it was incredible experience. Thank you very much.
Congratulations again. Do you have plans for coming back next season, or are you going to be going for the Japan Combined Cup?
本当におめでとうございます。来年もこのワールドカップに戻ってくる予定ですか？それともコンバインドの方に参加する予定ですか？
僕はちょっとコンバインドぶっちゃけ苦手なんですけど、本当にでもそれも目標にやっていきたいですし、リードをもっとメインでこう強くなっていって、ワールドカップとかでも常にファイナルに残って表彰台にも乗れるように頑張っていきたいと思うので、はい。
I feel a little bit difficult to compete in a combined, but I'd like to focus more on lead, and I want to constantly be on the final in the World Cup series for next year.
Well, congratulations once again. Thank you very much for an amazing performance.
本当におめでとうございます。
ありがとうございました。
Good to hear from Hiroto. I don't know if this comes across actually on TV, but that interview ended up going out through the PA system, which always makes things even more nerve-wracking for everyone involved. So good job to Eddie, and good to hear from Hiroto as well. That's it from us in the commentary box. I can't believe it. The lead World Cup season has come to a close. Campbell, thank you very much for your company once again.
Thank you again for having me.
And I know you've got the ankle, but we're hoping that won't be a long-term issue. When can we expect to see you back in action in an IFSC event?
I think it'll be the Lead and Boulder World Cup in Innsbruck. I mean, if not at the Olympics, fingers crossed. But otherwise, I'd like to start my World Cup season with the first Lead World Cup of 2020.
Fantastic. I will see you there, and the beers are on me for all your help, so thank you very much. And
Thanks,
thank
Charlie.
you for everyone watching at home. It's been a fantastic lead season. So many stories, I barely know where to start. But fear not, the action is not done for the IFSC in 2019. 1 month from today, 27th of November, we will be in Toulouse for the small matter of the Olympic selection event, where 12 climbers will punch their ticket to Tokyo 2020. Look forward to speaking to you then.
準備が整い次第表彰式を行ってまいります。今しばらくお待ちくださいませ。
This is the announcement to 2019. Medals will be presented by Mr. Toru Kobinata, Vice President of the International Federation of Sport Climbing. Prizes from City of Inzai, an engraved tea canister, will be presented by Mr. Kuniaki Yagihara, President of the Japan Mountaineering Sport Climbing Association. And a doll of Inzai City character, Inzai-kun, will be presented by Mr. Masanao Itakura, Mayor of Inzai City.
なお、表彰のメダルプレゼンターは国際スポーツクライミング連盟副会長小日向徹様へ、そして印西市より副賞として彫刻家と茶筒で公益社団法人日本山岳スポーツクライミング協会会長八木原邦明様へ、そして開催地印西市キャラクターのぬいぐるみ印西君の印西市長板倉正直様よりそれぞれ贈られます。
Now, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the women medalists. Bronze medalist, representing Republic of Korea,
女子選手の皆様ありがとうございました。お答えください。
Now, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome our men medalists of the IFSC Climbing World Cup Inzai 2019. Bronze medalist, representing Italy, Stefano Ghisolfi. Congratulations! Silver medalist, representing Spain, Alberto Gines Lopez. Congratulations! Gold medalist and the winner of the IFSC Climbing World Cup Inzai 2019, representing Japan, Hiroto Shimizu! Congratulations! Ladies and gentlemen, now please rise for the national anthem of Japan.
これより国歌演奏を行います。会場の皆様ご起立をご脱帽の上、会場モニターにご注目ください。
Thank you, everyone. Please be seated.
皆様ご協力ありがとうございました。お近づきください。
And now we would like to hold photo session with the three medalists and the presenters.
それでは記念撮影を行います。まずは選手の皆様とプレゼンターの皆様で撮影を行います。
And next, with the three medalists only.
続きまして選手のみで撮影を行います。プレゼン プレゼンター、国際スポーツクライミング連盟副会長、小日向浩二さん、そしてテクニカル連携ワンさんのささらに贈呈いたします。
Now please welcome the women athletes for the IFSC Lead World Cup 2019. Third place, representing Japan, Natsuki Tani. Second place, representing Slovenia, Janja Gambret. First place, and the winner of the IFSC Lead World Cup 2019, representing Republic of Korea, Jaehyun Seo. Congratulations! Now, ladies and gentlemen, please rise for the national anthem of the Republic of Korea.
これより今回演奏を行います。会場の皆様、ご起立をお立ちの上、会場の方にご注目ください。
Thank you, everyone. Please be seated.
皆様ご協力ありがとうございました。お近づきくださいませ。
And now we would like to hold a photo session with the three athletes and the presenters.
それでは記念撮影を行います。まずは選手の皆さんとプレゼンターで撮影を行います。プレゼンターの方、ご登壇くださいませ。
Now with the three athletes only.
続きまして選手のみで撮影を
Thank you very much. Please be seated. And now we would like to hold a photo session with athletes and the presenters. And next we would like to take photos with only the athletes. Thank you, everyone. Please be seated. And now we would like to hold a photo session with the athletes and the presenters. And next, we take photos with athletes only. Congratulations! Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the men athletes of the IFSC Combined World Cup 2019. Third place, representing Austria, Jakob Schubert. The trophy will be received by a representative of Austria's national team on behalf of Jakob Schubert. Second place, representing Czech Republic, Adam Ondrov. The trophy will be received by a representative of Czech Republic's national team on behalf of Adam Ondrov. First place and the winner of the IFSC Combined World Cup 2019, representing Japan, Tomoa Nagasaki. Congratulations! Now, ladies and gentlemen, please rise for the national anthem of Japan.
これより今回のそうございます。会場の皆さん、ご起立ご脱毛の上、会場モニターにご注目ください。
Thank you, everyone. Please be seated.
皆様ご協力ありがとうございました。ご着席くださいませ。
Now we'd like to take a photo with the athletes and the presenters.
記念撮影を行います。選手の皆さんのプレゼンターで撮影を行います。
And we'd like to take a photo with the athletes only.
選手のみで撮影を行います。 ありがとうございました。ご登壇ください。以上をもちまして IFC リードワールドカップインザイ2019表彰式並びに IFSC リードクライミング年間表彰を終了いたします。2日間にわたるご観戦、温かいご声援をいただきましてありがとうございます。最後に本大会運営にご尽力をいただきました大会役員、スタッフをご紹介させていただきます。会場の皆様もリズムに合わせて手拍子をお願いします。それではご入場をお願いします。